Hey everyone, I'm Christoph.
And I'm Emily.
And welcome to our podcast, Till Death Do Your Part.
We're so excited to share our journey with you as we navigate through all that life has given us in our marriage.
That's right, Em. We know when you get married, you say those famous words, Till Death Do Us Part. But what do you do when life hits you and you realize the easiest part was saying those 5 words at the altar?
Our hope with this podcast is to share useful tips and insights that we've gained along the way, both the good and the bad, to help you face anything head on in your own marriage.
And most importantly, our prayer is that we glorify Jesus along the way because, let's face it, we wouldn't be here today without his guidance.
So if you're ready to join us on this journey, hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. Hey guys, it's Emily.
And it's Christoph.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Till Death Do Your Part podcast.
Yep, this is the last of this season.
Yes, it is. Today we are tackling infertility.
Something we know all too well.
Yes, we
unfortunately
know personally what it's like to navigate through years of infertility. And thankfully, our story ended into healthy pregnancies with minimal invasion from like a doctor, but...
Yeah, no
IVF.
Need for IVF, no anything.
But today we just wanted to talk about our story and how just a little bit of what we went through and then how we navigated through it, because we know that it can take an emotional toll on both of you as well as physical on the wife, or, you know, like losing pregnancies or any medical intervention that has to be done. So we just wanted to talk about our story and then a little about how we navigated it so we can give helpful tips on how to
navigate is such like a good word, because when you're going through the infertility journey, you feel so lost and just helpless.
And everybody's story and journey is different.
It's different.
Very unique because nobody's infertility is the same. It always has different factors into why it's happening or why you're going through it.
Or it may not even have a reason for happening. You don't ever get answers.
That was us. It started out that I was not ovulating strong enough, but then it ended up being just an unexplained infertility, because then after I had Jack, I lost another pregnancy, and it was like secondary infertility after having it already.
And also it's a issue that is not covered by medical insurance. So it's not like
most of the stuff isn't like testing and stuff.
So there's
like
no answers unless you have money.
Yeah, we did not.
And you know what? You want to have a child so bad, but you know, you don't have tens of thousands of dollars for IVF or you know, you may not even need IVF. It's just not happening for you.
Right. And IVF maybe isn't the route for you. But then the tests, like the less invasive and the cheaper tests, are still very expensive.
And I don't think we ever learned that, like younger in health class in school or whatever, about how hard it is to become pregnant.
You know, getting pregnant is such a miracle in itself. I don't know if you've ever watched the videos on YouTube of like the sperm and the egg meeting, but it's absolutely incredible that there's a million of sperm and only one. It takes one to just, you know, to fertilize an egg. But it's truly a miracle and an act of God for every single person to get pregnant. That's why we're so passionate about like abortion, or not getting abortions, because we know how precious life is and how important.
And that there's families out there that want a child so badly. And, you know, unfortunately, they end up with the answer that it's not a possibility for them.
Yes.
And I always thought it was super easy to get pregnant just because all these like TV shows like 16 and pregnant or
all these people
like
are just
these people
pregnant.
in high school are pregnant, and it's like, oh, pregnancy is so easy. You know, you have sex and then boom,
you're pregnant,
kid.
boom. And then that was not.
Then we get
reality.
married and we're like, let's try to have a kid.
We were 18 when we got married, and we started trying immediately.
Which, you know, I'm thankful we didn't end up having a kid.
Me too. I was going to say that. I'm grateful that it didn't happen as soon as it did, because we were not ready.
Yeah, we weren't ready. And this just is like the epitome of God's timing is perfect timing, because if we had a child at 18, we probably wouldn't be here today.
Yes. And so we got married.
And we'd have a freaking 8-year-old, 9-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what?
So the first time we got pregnant was in 2016. It was 2 years after we had gotten married. And I remember because we were at Thanksgiving with my dad, and my dad makes fried turkey, and I love his fried turkey. But for some reason, there's that guy again.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
There's a guy riding a bicycle. Sorry.
He's hilarious.
He is very funny. He's homeless and he likes to yell a lot. It's hilarious.
It's interesting. I've seen him 3 times now. Sorry, squirrel. Anyways, and I love his turkey, but this day in particular, I made my Thanksgiving
Oh,
plate, and
Emily
it
was
was
putting
like,
some food
it was a
down.
mound. And everybody was like, Emily, why are you eating? Why are you so hungry? What is going, I mean, it just isn't, I'm not a big person. So I even thought it was weird. I'm like, why is there like so much food on my plate? So I end up eating, and I think I ate every bit of it
Oh, I'm
actually.
sure.
So then we go home that night, and I don't know what possessed me to take a pregnancy test, but I was like, I think I should test.
Well, you were like the queen of taking pregnancy tests when you probably shouldn't,
Yes,
you
but
know?
this night I was like, I need to. And I did, and it was positive, and we were pregnant, and we were so excited. I
Oh,
was,
I remember crying. I was like,
yeah, you called your
finally.
dad crying. You were
I was
like,
like so
yeah,
excited
as if
because
we've
we
been
had been
trying.
trying forever, and then like
I mean, it was like 2 years. It wasn't that long. It takes
it felt
it
way
takes
longer.
the average like adult female or in male couple to get 1 year of trying before they
And we
actually get
figured this
pregnant.
out through infertility because we
Yes.
were like,
Why is it not
why?
working? So then that was like I was 4 weeks pregnant, right when you find out, and then I ended up losing the baby at 5 weeks and 3 days, and I started spotting, and it was horrific. Like that is one of the worst feelings that I think anyone
Yeah,
can go through, is losing a baby, especially one that you want so bad. That was very emotional for me.
yeah, it
I
was.
can still remember those feelings, and I'm grateful that I don't have to do that anymore. But it was very, very hard, and so we went through the motions of losing the baby, and then we continued to try again. And it wasn't until 2018, right? Oh no, we
Yeah,
ended up losing another baby in
we did.
2017.
We did.
It was never confirmed at the doctor, but
This was the reason for us just quitting. We were like, we're done.
yeah, we're like, forget this. So I got pregnant again. I know, I without a doubt in my mind, you cannot convince me otherwise. And then I lose that baby, and then we were like, you know what? It's not even worth
This is it.
trying.
Let's take a break.
Let's
Let's
just,
calm down.
they always tell you, when you're not thinking about it and not trying is when it happens, which is like the dumbest thing ever, but that's what they tell you.
And we booked a cruise with the family,
Yes,
and
we booked a cruise for February of the next year, and we were so excited to just chill. And next thing you know,
like,
February 9th
boom,
comes around.
pregnant.
I'm pregnant. I took a test while he was gone for the military, and I don't know why I took a test, to be honest. I can't really quite remember
I don't
what
know either.
like
And
triggered
I
me
was
to
in
do it.
formation whenever you sent me the text, and I showed Rams. I remember showing Ramsey, and he was like, "What? Like, yeah, let's
I
go,"
know. I was like, "What in
because
the
he
heck?"
knew
And he was
about
like,
it.
"How that happened?" I'm like, "I don't know, Christoph. I'm freaking out right now." And so it's like 9 o'clock at night. I drove all the way to my mom's house for whatever reason. I was like, well, I just gotta drive somewhere. So I just like drove. I was so excited. And then I
You can
ended
do
up,
that when you don't have kids. You can
yeah,
just up and leave.
do whatever you want. So then a little bit later, I started spawning. And
Yeah,
so then that just, when you have a miscarriage, any pregnancy after a miscarriage is absolutely
terrifying.
terrifying. Every
Even if
feeling,
everything's going good, you're
yes,
just
everything you
walking on
feel, every
eggshells.
time you go to the bathroom, you're checking for blood every single time.
Hmm.
And that was what I was doing. And so then, of course, they told me it was a threatened miscarriage, and, there was nothing that they could do at that point.
Yeah, you just have to pray.
Pray and hope for the
And I
best.
probably never prayed harder in my life than in those situations. I
Yeah.
mean, even the ones that we had lost, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? And I don't think I ever received answers. Sometimes we don't get answers. But then I did get my answer. It was not in my timing, but I got Jack.
Yeah, and then of course my pregnancy progressed as everything was fine, and we had Jack in 2018. But it's like if I would have had those babies that I lost before, our life would be so different. And as much as I would have loved those children just the same as I love
We wouldn't
Jack,
have Jack.
we wouldn't have Jack. And
And he is
so
the perfect boy.
he is the sweetest, best thing. And I know everyone thinks that about their kids, but truly Jack is special. And so we just, I know why we went through those hurts, because if
Yeah.
without those hurts, we would not have Jack.
Yeah,
And Jack is,
God's timing is perfect timing. I just say it over and over and over because that's how grateful I am for that boy.
yeah. And you know, a lot of the times when you have miscarriages, it's because there's some type of mess up in the baby's DNA. So our children could have came out with some type of, you know, illness or disease that would have threatened their
that
life
we may
or
not have been
prepared to
prepared or
handle.
suited to handle,
Yes, and
and God
so
knew that.
those things, obviously he knew what was best, but I truly believe that he knew what was best because he knew that we needed Jack.
Yeah.
And so Jack came and he was the best thing ever. He was our light, you know, light in the world, and he was just perfect. And
I
it
remember
just,
holding him for the first time
yeah.
because I was like, "Oh, that was a mess." You know, just having a kid. We weren't sleeping. We were like, I was freaking out, and
Yeah.
I'm holding this baby, and I'm looking at him, and I literally think, "Holy crap, this is mine!" Like,
Yeah, like look at
you
this
know, they
little,
swallowed them all up, and all you can see is a little tiny little
their
head.
little
And
faces.
Jack was so tiny, and I'm just looking at him, and his little dark eyes, and he's like squinting. You know, his little
He looked
eyebrow thing he
Chinese
does.
when he was
You
born.
know his little eyebrow thing he still does when he's trying to
Yeah.
focus. He was doing that, and
He's looking at you like, what is
I was like,
going on?
"Holy crap,
That's so
this is
funny.
mine!"
Yeah.
And it was a moment of realization, like it all came to fruition that I finally had the child that I felt I was promised.
Yeah, and we had like this, you know, long, terrifying pregnancy of always worrying if we were going to lose that
Always
baby. And
worrying.
then there it is. Like it's just so perfect.
Yeah.
And that was part of why we never went on dates because he was just everything to us and we didn't want to miss a single second with him because of the fact that we had went through so many losses.
Yeah, we were so content with, with just Jack for a while. And
I was at a point where I didn't want any more kids.
yeah,
I didn't want to go through the mental or the physical effects of having another
yeah.
miscarriage. And I wanted one. I didn't want any more kids. Like he was fine. That was it.
And then I think we came to the conclusion, like, let's try to have one more.
Well, Christoph wanted one
I
more.
wanted like 8
I
more.
truly didn't want any more kids, and I would be fine with never having. I would have never had any more kids and been fine. I love
Yeah.
Quinn to death, but I was fine with no more. And so we went ahead and had another one. I told him if we're gonna get pregnant again, we need to do it when they're close. I didn't want kids like 6 years
Yeah,
apart.
so we needed to do it.
We need to go ahead. And I got my birth control taken out in December, and I found out I was pregnant in
That was
February.
my Christmas gift.
Literally. I found out I was pregnant in February. And so we spent 4 years, 2 pregnancy losses to get Jack, and we got pregnant in 2 months. And I was like, what in the
Holy
world?
cow.
How in the world has happened? And then, of course, ended up being a potential molar pregnancy. I had to have a D&C on Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Favorite holiday, by the way.
Yeah. And then
Emily's
I ended
favorite.
up I never had another cycle in between. And I ended up getting pregnant in April with Quinn. And that, y'all have heard my depression story, so you know that was not good or easy. So that pregnancy was absolutely atrocious.
Mm-hmm. And you were worried the whole time
Oh
because,
my gosh, I don't think I ever stopped
we had
worrying.
this perfect child. You get pregnant again and you lose it. And you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, so then you get pregnant again, you're like, okay, am I going to lose
Well,
this one?
and this
Yeah.
was our last time, no matter what the outcome was, we were done.
Yeah, I wasn't doing it again. Because I don't think that anyone really can truly realize or understand the mental effects it causes
And the strain that
and
it
the
just
straight
weighs you down.
until you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to say, oh, just try again. But when you go through the mental, like all of that when losing a baby and then not in the matter like the physical side of that,
Yep.
it's hard.
On the physical side, it's like it just kills the intimacy. Sex becomes a chore, almost like you're just
Yes.
trying to get pregnant because you're like, well, we want to have a baby so badly, and then it strips sex of its like desire almost. It's
Right.
just another household chore, trying to produce a child.
And that was one of our talking points is the lack of intimacy when you're scheduling it, because when you go through like infertility and you're trying to get pregnant,
Yeah.
you do schedule intercourse.
Like
You
it's
do.
okay to schedule it, whenever you really need it, but whenever
Yes.
you're trying to have a child and you're dealing with the infertility, it's a different animal.
It takes 2 days for the sperm to reach.
Yeah, you're doing a
the
lot of
recount,
research.
and so you only do it every other day, but then, it lives in your system for 5 days, and
You
so
know all
then
the
you're like,
numbers and everything. It's
I
crazy.
mean, seriously, like the sperm can live in you for 5 days. And so if you do it, 5 days before and 5 days after, you're probably going to hit that ovulation mark. But then we were doing that month after month after month, and it wasn't happening. So then it was like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with me? And then you start butting heads because you think something's wrong with
Yeah.
the other person. Why are we not getting pregnant? Why, are we always losing babies? And
It
then
made intercourse and like it
it was
just
just a chore. It
undesirable. It was
wasn't fun.
not.
It was like, hey, let's get it over with
Yeah,
again
let's go ahead
because,
and get this knocked out so we can
yes,
have a baby.
yes. And so that's what we spent a lot of the beginning of our marriage doing was
Yeah.
just trying to get it done just to get pregnant. And it did take away a lot of the
Yeah,
intimacy
so
of
if
early
you're a young
marriage.
couple, newly married,
Yeah.
I would just encourage you guys to just enjoy each other.
And you hear this all
We
the
see
time.
so many couples that get married and they're like instantly pregnant. And we used to think, oh, that was such a stupid thing to listen to. Like, no, you want
Yeah.
to have a child, you have a child, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll enjoy each
Because
other.
we started trying very early, but
But we are very
now,
passionate about like learning how to be a married couple without kids.
because I find myself after, like, at least after the cruise, and even more now today, and he doesn't like when I say this, but I find myself not resenting my kids because I love them to death, but I feel like trying to have them for so long and from the very beginning took away a
We
lot of
missed
time
out.
that we had with each other. And so then when we get times like today recording this or last night without them and going to Crumble or going on a cruise, I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss you. And I wish it could just be us again. But we
Yeah.
wasted so much time and energy into like trying to get pregnant all the time that
Instead of just enjoying each
yes,
other.
I wish that we would have taken at least 2 years to like enjoy
Just be
each other,
married.
just be married, not wanting kids.
No stress. And
If
you know
I
what?
could go back, that's what I would have
If you end up
changed.
pregnant during it,
Cool.
cool.
Yeah.
But you intentionally enjoyed each other.
Yes,
And I think
if we
that's
could go
important.
back, I think that's one thing we probably would have done different
Yeah.
was
Just
we would
intentionally
have.
enjoy each other.
Yes, 100%.
One of the big things about infertility that gets kind of left out is men.
Yes.
Because men are losing a child too, but they're
Yeah.
not the ones that are physically going through it. So they kind of get forgotten.
And I think that the woman in a way is a little bit more important in that aspect because
Yeah.
your body is the one
And it's
taking the
going
toll.
through some things like,
Their act in it is the fun part. Our act in it is the growing the child and potentially losing and going through all the pains
yeah,
of that. But
men need it.
emotionally, they're just as in tune.
And men need a
Yeah.
time to grieve and their feelings need to be acknowledged and someone needs to comfort them too.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of times where I just felt alone.
Yeah.
Like, and I sit and realize like I just lost a child that I had already loved so much.
Yeah.
And I saw its heartbeat and I was so grateful and I was excited and it just got crushed in an instant. And I
Yeah.
have to be there for you and I have to take care of you. But then my feelings were just thrown to the side and just
And
forgotten.
not intentionally.
No,
Like it
no, it
just
wasn't your
happened because
fault.
he felt like he had to be the strong one.
You do, because your wife needs you.
But then
This
we
is
forget that men are going through it too.
So
You are losing a
family
baby too.
members like in-laws, parents,
Just calling
you
to check on
need
the
to
mom.
check on the man.
Yeah, the dad
You need
too.
to check on the dad. He needs that support.
100%.
Because I didn't feel like I had received that, and you know what, we made it through it, and everything's okay. But
Yeah, because now my tubes are removed 100%. I had an ablation, so
yeah, we're done having kids.
100%.
Unless,
Oh my gosh.
one day
That's not,
Emily gets on the adoption train, I'm on.
do not let us know if you have a kid up for adoption. I'm not taking
No,
it.
hit my DMs, please. I'll take
No.
it.
But let's talk about a positive that comes out of infertility. The one biggest positive is how much more we feel like we love our children. Not that
Oh,
we love our kids more than you love your children, but the love we have for our kids, the patience we have for our kids is so much greater and so much more raw and like real because we
yeah.
wanted them so bad and we know what it was like to lose babies and to have a life without them, and we are so grateful that we actually had them because we know how much of a miracle it is that they're here.
And because of my really rough childhood and the lack of love in my home, I think God allowed me to go through these stints of infertility and child loss because on top of how much I already love my children, I love them 10 times over because I I know what it's like to not feel loved and now I know what it's like to experience child loss.
Yeah.
And the love I have for the kids is I've never felt anything like it. And I
It's
tend to
crazy.
think, like, the way I look at my children, I think God looks at me. I
Probably.
think that all the time. I'm like, man, that is just insane.
Yeah, it's like a love that you can't explain.
You can't. There's no
And like
words
just
for it.
feeling it is just like it's so weird how like I just look at the kids and I just kiss them to death and they can't stand it. And
There
I'm like,
used to
I
be a
just
time when
love
we
you
had
so
Jack.
daggone much. I can't I just want to like bite you.
You remember how much I used to just kiss Jack's head? You're like, calm down.
Yeah, stop kissing the kids so much. I know, and I do it now and I kiss him on the cheek and he's
Oh,
like,
when he
Mom,
was a little
stop.
baby, I'd just be like,
Yeah.
I just kiss him and kiss
You
him.
know, it's funny. I'm thinking about Quinn yesterday telling you, ew.
Oh, I know. I tried to give her a kiss. But it
She
was
said,
because I had some drink in my mustache.
she said, ew.
And then she wouldn't. I was like, okay, I'll
She
wipe
goes,
it.
ew, it's because the chicken.
Yeah, because I was eating chicken
She
nuggets.
says, chicken. She
It's
said,
the
ew, it's the
it's the
chicken.
chicken.
On your mustache was getting her. That's so cute.
I was like, it's
That was
not chicken,
adorable.
baby girl. It's not chicken.
So, one of the things that we think that we could share that would help you if you were going through this, you find yourself, have experiencing loss or having a trouble getting pregnant, is to find a supportive group.
Yeah.
For me in particular, I found Instagram at the Trying to Conceive pages,
Oh yeah.
and
There's like a whole community
it's
that
like a
you
huge
know.
community of people that you're taking ovulation
What do they
tests
usually
together,
put in
the
their
pregnancy.
username? It's like
Yeah,
TTC.
Trying to Conceive.
Yeah. So I mean, there's tons of pages.
Yeah, just look up TTC and you'll find many of women that are going through the same thing. You might find people that your cycles link up and you're taking
Yeah.
a pregnancy test at the same time or ovulation test. Find someone in your family or your friend group because I can assure you there's more than you realize that
You
have
can
lost
message us,
pregnancy. Yeah,
because
you can message us too.
Emily, if you're a man and you want a man's perspective on how to deal with it, you can message me, my personal account, the podcast account on Instagram. You can message Emily if you need support
We are
or
well versed. I'm more well versed than you, like an average person, because I don't know, I just like the studying part of it. I don't know why.
yeah. That's
But
probably the only thing you do study in your life.
yeah, it's like trying to
Yeah.
conceive and how long sperm lives in your body. I don't know, like
Yeah, and if you're a man and you don't know how to care for your wife, I would encourage you just message Emily. She can give you a lot of great tips on how you should care for a woman or what a woman needs in that time.
but more people in your friend group and your family, I can assure you, have had miscarriages than you realize. It's something that just kind of goes
It's
unspoken. Not a
kind of
lot of people
taboo.
talk
Like
about.
I
Yeah,
feel like people never really talked about it,
yeah,
and we've always been open about it because
very open because
and
a
you would be
life is
open and
important to us from the second it is conceived.
yeah,
We don't care if that baby dies in a week. We don't care if the pregnancy never goes to
it's
like
hurtful.
fruition.
It
Yes,
needs to be grieved. I mean, it's
yes,
just the
and
way
it
we
can be
see it.
grieved no matter what.
Yeah,
Even if it's only in your belly for a week, it is still a baby,
and
and
I
it's still
I
important.
feel like you being open about your infertility, like you've received messages of
Many of
people.
messages like, "Thank you so much for sharing that."
Yeah, and that's
Yes.
why we're doing this
Yeah.
podcast once again. Everything that we talk about, we are so passionate about, and we believe talking about it and working through it and teaching other people how to work through it can build lasting marriages.
And then one of the biggest things I think though that can cause like some ill feelings is that when you do reach out to people, depending on if you reached out to the right person or not, is the comments like, it'll happen when the time is right, or just relax and then it'll
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah,
just stop thinking about it.
it's important to reach out to the right people.
But when you
Because if
do reach out to the people though that don't necessarily know, because it's one of those things
yeah,
that you really understand it when you are going through it more than like someone else. People have good intentions. And as hurtful as it is to hear some things and is like, I can't believe you just said that to me, most people have good intentions. Don't
they just
feel,
don't know what to say because
yeah,
they've never
no,
felt
yeah, they
that.
either one of, like my mom never felt it. She never knew what to say to me. She would say, I'm sorry and I'm there for you, but she never knew what to say because she had never ever went through it.
Yeah.
And so it, sometimes could even feel like maybe someone wasn't there for me because they, didn't know
They just don't know.
they just didn't understand. But also understanding that people that haven't been through it, they don't mean wrong when they say the things that they do.
It's a hard thing to conceptualize because you want to be there for the person, but you don't know what to say.
Yes. And
Because
so they
you
say
also
what
don't want to
comes to their
say the
mind.
wrong thing.
Yeah, like the just relax, it'll happen, when the time's right. That kind of comes off a little
Yeah. Or
yucky,
you
but
go
they
to
don't mean that bad. And you have to understand that people are coming from a good place. And so you can't take too many things personal or to
yeah.
heart because 9 times out of 10, they don't mean it the way it
Or
sounds.
you go to like a family gathering, like, oh, when do you plan on having kids?
And people get so mad. Can we normalize not asking people when they're having kids because you never know? Well, I don't think that anyone ever means that wrong.
Yeah, they
And
don't.
especially if you aren't open about, if you're very private or you're just not open about your struggles, how is Granny Sue going to know that you already have 3 miscarriages
Yeah.
if you don't ever tell Granny Sue?
And you know what?
And
She may have dealt with it.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with someone saying, "Hey, when are you going to have kids?" Yeah, it might hurt a little if you're struggling to get pregnant, but all you have to say is it's come a little harder for us to get pregnant, but we're trying. That's all you have to
Yeah.
say. You don't have to be like, why would you ask that? That's rude. Well,
Yeah,
it's
no
not
one's meaning
rude.
ill intention, and I think it's good to just to teach people like the other side of it, because we've been there where we get mad and then we're like, you know what? They don't know what we're going through. We're not sharing it with them,
Yeah.
and you know, they're excited to see our family grow just like we are.
Yes, and they don't mean any bad things.
Yeah.
But infertility is hard. Again, it's a very personal journey to every marriage,
Yeah.
every couple. And, I know a lot of people don't talk about it. It's, unspoken sometimes, but just know that every baby is important, and there is nothing wrong with celebrating pregnancies as early as you find out.
Yeah.
Now, do you need to be prepared to be the bearer of bad news when something goes wrong? Potentially, yes. But,
Yep.
every baby in life is important. And I know infertility is hard. I mean, super hard. We've been there too many times to count, but I am, grateful to be on this side of it.
Yep. We made it. We got our 2 beautiful children.
And that's what I always told him. We have 2 perfect kids, or even at the time, we have 1 perfect kid with nothing wrong with him. He's super smart. Why would we ruin that with another child? I always said that. And now I'm grateful for Quinn, but she has rocked our world. And I tell people, if we would have had her
Oh, they're
first,
too.
we would have
Yeah,
never had another one,
because we wouldn't have had enough
oh my God,
willpower to do it.
she is very
That girl's gonna
exhausting.
wear me thin.
Yeah.
She's a handful, but I just want to pray for all the couples that are struggling with this beast, and it's so hard to navigate.
And we hope you reach out as well. We're never too busy to talk. We've said this before. We're never too busy to talk. And if we don't respond immediately, we will respond.
We will get
But
there, yeah.
even like if you just need an avenue to vent, just to talk about it, you have any questions, I am a knowledge nook for infertility.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, she's like a library.
Yeah. So, you need to know how long it takes for sperm to rebuild? I'll let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Just kidding.
All right. Dear God, thank you for this time together. Thank you for this podcast. I ask that you continue to do your work through it, Lord. And I want to pray for all the families that endure infertility. I pray they find your guidance and realize that your timing is perfect timing, Lord, just as me and Emily have. Thank you for our 2 beautiful children, and I know that you are going to do amazing works in all these families' lives. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Yay.